Good afternoon, dear participants. My name is Elifnaz Yangın. I'm a student at Antalya Bilim University. Associate Professor Hakan Şimşek and I construct a proposed method. Our study is a decision support system for determining COVID-19 personal risk index with fuzzy logic. I divide my speech into 5 parts. First, I'm going to introduce the background of the system and I give you a little bit information about fuzzy logic. After that, I will explain the proposed fuzzy inference system. Then we are going to perform the fuzzy inference system, and then I conclude my presentation. COVID-19 disease was declared a global epidemic by World Health Organization on March 11, 2020 due to both deep concern both with alarming levels of spread and severity levels. The most common symptoms of COVID-19 detected in confirmed cases are fever, dry cough, and fatigue. Serious symptoms of COVID-19 are difficulty breathing or shortness of breath, chest pain or pressure in the chest. And other symptoms of COVID-19 are loss of taste or smell, nasal congestion, conjunctivitis, also known as red eyes, sore throat, headache, muscle or joint pain, and vomiting. The aim of this article is to construct a support system for experts to help detect of COVID-19 infection risk and to get a numerical output on symptoms of the virus from every person coming for testing. Our study performed in MATLAB Fuzzy Logic Designer 2019. Fuzzy logic is a method of artificial intelligence similar to human reasoning for dealing with various uncertainties. Fuzzy inference system generate outputs by processing incomplete, ambiguous, fuzzy inputs of a problem that can be defined by linguistic parameters. We use Mamdani's fuzzy inference method for this study. The decision on whether to test for COVID-19 can be made based on whether he or she has symptoms of virus and how severe the symptoms are. Therefore, an inference system bringing out appropriate human reasoning capabilities can be developed to support the decision of whether to test or not, to further classify the virus symptoms of the person, to make them numerical data, and to obtain comparative results and make quick decisions. For all those reasons, we construct such a system to numerically describe a personal risk index by using fuzzy logic tools for COVID-19 pandemic. The proposed fuzzy inference system consists of 3 sub-fuzzy inference systems: common and serious symptoms, rare symptoms, and personal information. The first system provides an inference on common and serious symptoms. The second system gives an output on rare symptoms, and finally the third fuzzy inference system is built in which personal information is collected. The inputs in the first and the second fuzzy inference system were created by evaluating the symptoms on the symptoms announced by World Health Organization. The inputs in the third fuzzy inference system were determined as age, chronic disease, and smoking alcoholic habits that affect the risk of COVID-19 disease transmission. The COVID-19 personal risk index is obtained by converting the outputs of this sub-fuzzy inference system into a single output. In the first fuzzy inference system, we aim to get a numerical output for the common and serious symptoms of COVID-19. There are 5 inputs in the system: fever time, cold time, fatigue time, shortness of breath, and chest pain. Figure 1 illustrates the impact of the symptoms on risk evaluation in 3D form as a ruled surface performed in MATLAB. For the fever, cold, and fatigue, which are common symptoms, 3 corresponding sub-fuzzy inference systems were created to include in the system how long a person has had these symptoms. As a result, we get the first output for common symptoms for fever, cold, and fatigue by using the sub-fuzzy inference system, including 2 inputs, and then we reach the risk index for common and serious symptoms by using first fuzzy inference system. Figure 2 illustrates the impact of the symptoms on risk evaluation in 3D form as a ruled surface performed in MATLAB. In the second fuzzy inference system, we aim to get a numerical output for the rare symptoms of COVID-19. There are 4 inputs in the system: loss of taste or smell, body ashes, conjunctivitis, and vomiting. Figure 3 illustrates the impact of the symptoms on risk evaluation in 3D form as a rule surface performed in MATLAB. In the third fuzzy inference system, we aim to get a numerical output for personal information affecting the risk value of COVID-19. There are 3 inputs in the system: age, smoke, and comorbidities. Figure 4 illustrates the impact of the system on risk evaluation in 3D form as a rule surface performed in MATLAB. In this part, we can get the COVID-19 personal risk value by combining the explained fuzzy inference systems. We present a final fuzzy inference system whose inputs are the outputs obtained by the first, second, and the third fuzzy inference systems. Now we can discuss the performance of the proposed approach. The following questions can be asked to determine the input value of fuzzy inference system. Questions can be like, how many hours do you have a fever? How many hours do you have a dry cold? How many hours do you have a fatigue? And etc. According to answers, we compute the outputs of fuzzy inference system, and using the final fuzzy inference system, we get the final output, that is personal risk value for COVID-19 disease. As we can see on the table, there are 2 different persons who answered the questions. According to first person's answers, first fuzzy inference output is 90.50. The second fuzzy inference system output is 8.85. And the third fuzzy inference output is 8.8. Hence, the final fuzzy inference output is 9.2. On the other hand, second person's outputs, first, second, and the third respectively, 4.5, 4.95, and 4.5. According to inputs, person 2 has the 4.5 final fuzzy inference output. When person 1's result taken into account, should take the COVID-19 test and must quarantine him or herself. However, person 2 should be careful and don't need to take the test. As a result, the proposed system has a reasonable potential and its performance is justified. As a conclusion, Professor Hakan and I create a fuzzy logic inference system to get a numerical output on COVID-19 symptoms so that more specific data is obtained before testing for COVID-19. The data aimed to be obtained with fuzzy inference system created in the study helps the segregation of individual at risk of COVID-19 from the society. The data are obtained by evaluate the severity of symptoms from 0 to 10. The proposed approach has 3 sub-fuzzy inference systems, namely common and serious symptoms, rare symptoms, and personal information. In the last step, the data obtained from the sub-fuzzy inference system are used for determining the personal risk index by means of the final fuzzy inference system. The resulting numerical data can be used by health professionals to make inference about public health. Numerical output can also be used in terms of self-control of an individual to help him or herself make decisions about seeking appropriate medical care. According to experts' opinions, improvements and updates can be easily made on the rule base and the inputs. On the other hand, this study may contribute to different types of disease and outbreaks by updating the inputs and the rule base. Those are our references. Thank you for your attention.